gender, identity. You know, all of those things happen. In fact, suicide is the second leading cause. I've said that among people ages 10 through 24. Can you imagine? And it happens. You'll find 10-year-olds, 9-year-olds saying that I want to commit suicide, I want to kill myself, you know. So what are some things that will cause a youth to think about suicide? We've talked about it before. Loss of a loved ones, divorce, you know, deportation, incarceration, all of those things, bullying, discrimination, rejection, hostility, you know, racism, you know, family history of suicide, you know, stigma, easy access to firearms. I don't know if many of us in our community keep firearms in the house, but people do keep firearms, and you'll be amazed how their kids have access to those firearms and they use it at times. You know, like I said, trauma, people witnessing violence, you know, or financial instability, you know, or suicide in a school, or a friend or group of friends, you know, all of these things can cause our kids to be at risk for suicide. And the key is that we should not try to dismiss what they are seeing or what they are saying as teenage drama. Yes, there are lots of drama with kids in middle school and high school, but let's not dismiss if they just say, I want to die, or I don't care anymore, nothing matters. I wonder how many people will come to my funeral. Sometimes I wish I could just go to sleep and never wake up. Don't take those statements lightly. You know, probe further, find out what is going on with them, find out if they're being bullied, find out what is going on. We really need to probe and find out what is going on. You know, it's better safe than sorry. Don't risk being wrong about this. Take every statement about suicide seriously. And one of the things that we need to learn to do in our communities even as African parents, is to learn to respond with empathy and understanding. We have to learn how to respond to our children with empathy and understanding, because we are too quick to say, what is wrong with you? When I was your age, I went through A, B, C, and D, and this. Oh, you people are too feely touchy. When we begin to say things like that around our children, when they begin to feel all the things that they feel, they know that we're going to invalidate it. They're not going to come to us. That's the thing. They're not going to come to us because they think we don't understand it. And truly, we may not understand it, but we can empathize with them. And we can learn and educate ourselves about what is going on. A lot is going on in schools, and a lot of the baggages that your kids bring home from school is not about you. When they roll their eyes or they have an attitude, sometimes we scream at them, you are rude, you're this, I didn't do that to my mother. Hey, you didn't go through what they're going through coming from school and the things that they have to face at school. So it's sometimes when they have some of this attitude, or you notice something happening with your kid, just ask them, how was your day? How was your day at school? What went on in school? What's going on with you? Let's check in with them to find out what is going on. Because if you don't, they may not tell you. And they may be going through intense bullying at school that you don't know about. So when we ask them and we show empathy and show understanding, then, you know, then they will open up to us, you know. And then when they do open up to us, let's just calm ourselves and just take it calmly. Don't say that's a ridiculous thing to say, or you have a great life. Why would you want to end it? Or you don't mean that. I can't believe I'm hearing you. I can't even believe you're saying this. When we respond in those with those kind of statements, we put them off and we sever the opportunity for them to come to us and to really share their true feelings with us. So we have to learn to manage our own feelings so that we can respond to them in a modulated way, you know, in a thoughtful manner, you know, and just kind of connect with them. You can say things like, it sounds like you are in a tremendous pain. You know, I can see why you're that way. I can see why you feel this way. You know, just respond with empathy, you know. Yeah, we may not have gone through what they're going through, but we can still empathize with them. And then, of course, when your kid begins to open up to you and talk about some of these issues that they're going through, get them professional help. You know, get them professional help. I can't underestimate that. Just get them help. Back home, we think every people who go to therapists are crazy people. No, they're not crazy. They're just people who have emotional stressors that they need to process. and they need somebody else to listen to them other than their family, because their families are going to judge them, or they're not going to understand, or they're not even qualified or prepared enough to be able to address their issues. So seek professional help. Okay. And, if you are one of those who keep your guns and firearms in the home, keep it in a safe and locked place. Half of youth suicide occur with firearms, and suicide attempts with firearms are always fatal. So if you have firearms, please keep them safe. Safe home storage is the best, is the second best option. Keep it in a safe place at home. And let's see here. The other thing is, it still takes a village to raise a child. Let your children, let our youth, let them be connected, either in their youth groups or with other adults outside of the home that they can trust, people that that can encourage them, encourage them to connect with family and friends, help them get out there to do some exercises, reassure them that self-care is never a sign of weakness. Everything we all do in life, it affects our health, even as young as our children are, so giving them the encouragement that they need, to get help, to get healthy, to eat healthy, to get some exercises in. All of those things affect our mental health, and mental health is one of the things that pushes people, and substance abuse are one of the two main things that pushes people, or chronic pain, to that edge of wanting to commit suicide. So let's talk briefly about what is the role of faith-based organizations. When we talk about suicide, how can they help prevent suicide? One, they can create awareness to remove stigma. We have the mental health month. Let them create awareness in their church, bring people to talk to people and create this awareness. There's the suicide prevention month is coming up, I think it's in September. Let's create awareness that let's embrace this thing. Let's know that these things happen. And that thing is beginning to happen close to home. So there is no myth, there is no stigma about this. Let's be open in our community. Let's talk about these things. Let our youth know that we are aware that these things are happening, and that we are there for them to provide the support that they need. And when we begin to talk about things like this and creating such awareness in our faith communities, then our kids will be open enough to embrace it and say, okay, maybe I can approach somebody about what I'm thinking, And we talked about some of those protective factors, providing support and creating activities that promote connectedness. Those are things that are going to be helpful for our kids. As a faith community, when we provide support and by creating activities that promote connectedness, it still takes a village to raise a child. So if you're interacting with someone in an emotional pain, ask them directly. As a minister of the gospel, ask them, are you thinking about suicide? Are you thinking of suicide? So, and ask them, are you hurting? How are you hurting? How can I help? Or how do you feel emotionally? Let's check in with people. People come to us sometimes as ministers and they tell all these stories and we listen to them, we pray for them, but we don't really ask them, how are you feeling emotionally? Are you having thoughts of wanting to harm yourself? And we are also, as faith-based organizations, we need to be informed and equipped to have these conversations. And if we don't know how to have these conversations, let's get trained. Let's educate ourselves. Let's make some of this training available to some of our ministers in our churches, so that they can know how to deal with this and how to ask the right questions and respond appropriately when people are struggling. Each one of us can help by dispelling this myth about suicide and by encouraging protective factors that may prevent suicide and learning how to identify and support people who are at risk. So we all have a part to play in this thing. So a few things here. What do I do if I'm struggling or someone I know is struggling with thoughts of suicide? The key is here. If someone is in crisis, There's the suicide, lifeline. You can call. There is there 24/7, 7 days a week. But if they're in a life-threatening situation, you can always call 911 too. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is there too. There's somebody at the end of the line that will talk to them and encourage them and provide the support that they need. If I see suicide message on social media, no, and I'm not too, I know that there are things that we need to educate ourselves about when it comes to social media, but knowing how to get help for someone when they post suicidal messages, it can help save a life. You can call 911, you can talk to their parents, you can call people who are close to them. And some of those sites too also have things that you can do when somebody is posting such kind of messages on social media, and they do. And I know so many people, been in this field that, their lives have been saved by their friends who saw their posting on social media and called their parents, and they were able to get them help before they did something lethal to themselves. Mm-hmm. So does asking someone about suicide put the idea in their head? No, no, no. The fact that you ask somebody if they're thinking about suicide does not put that idea in their head. Okay, studies have shown that asking people about suicide thoughts and behavior does not cause or increase such thoughts. Asking somebody directly, are you thinking of killing yourself, can be the best way to identify someone at risk for suicide. Okay, so do people who threaten suicide? We often say that they are threatening suicide to get attention. It's an attention-seeking behavior. Suicide thoughts or actions are a sign of extreme distress. So anybody who is even thinking of suicide, tells you that they're experiencing distress, and that's an indicator for that somebody needs help. So talking about wanting to die by suicide is not typical response to stress, but all talk about suicide should be taken seriously and requires immediate attention. So when people around us are thinking about suicide or they're making all of these thoughts, we need to really, really, really not just kind of disregard it or just kind of wave it away, but let's, take it seriously. And I'm going to stop here and see, if there are questions, if there's, I don't know what the plan is, but, I'm going to stop here. I know I spoke very fast, but if you have questions about anything that I've said tonight, I will be willing to provide answers and more clarification.
Thank you, Pastor Joko. We really appreciate that. So this is the time to ask questions. All the questions you've been wanting to ask. This is the time to ask the question. I can start with my own. Is it really possible to prevent suicide?
I wouldn't say 100%. Yes, it is possible to prevent suicide. We talked about a lot of risk factors. We talked about, you can't, if somebody, the truth of the matter is that if somebody is bent on killing themselves, it's tough. You can't help prevent it, but they will find a way to do it. So I would say yes, but not 100% in that sense. And what I mean is that some of the things that we talked about, being attuned to them, asking them directly, and if they are honest and they tell you the answer, you can always get them to the hospital. They know how to keep them in a safe place, and then they can talk to them. They can process whatever the stressor is that is leading them to that point of wanting to end their lives. And some people do recover. Yeah, they process some of those things and they realize that they can get better and things can get better for them. And yeah, there have been so many people that have, because people around them called for help, prevented suicide. Yes, you can prevent suicide, but not 100%. Because if somebody is bent on dying, they will find a way to die. It's sad, but it does happen. But I don't want us to have the idea that we can't prevent it. We can prevent it, because like I said, some of those protective factors that we talked about connectedness, being connected and feeling that you matter, that somebody cares about you. Those are some of the things that we assess for. when people say they want to kill themselves, or people say, yes, I have thoughts of suicide, but I won't do it. And you ask them, why won't you do it? They will tell you, I can't do this to my family. I love my family too much. I have my kids. I have this connectedness, yeah, those thoughts come up. Not everybody who think about suicide or who have suicidal ideation go ahead and complete suicide. When they have strong protective factors, they struggle and they get help. They know they're struggling and they get help, but it still boils down to that protective factor, building that connectedness and sense of belonging, and having all of that support around them is what helps.
What happens? What can one do in a situation where
you're echoing? You're echoing. I think maybe you have two open at the
devices. Okay, I'll put my question in the chat.
Okay, I will look at the chat. Okay, the question is, does culture have an impact on suicide behavior and prevention? Yes, culture has a way of influencing how we, our values, our beliefs about things. So yes, culture does have a part to play in it, and part of it is that. Let's talk about African culture. I know that things are beginning to change gradually, but I mean, we don't even think about mental health, talk less of, that somebody's struggling with mental health, talk less of, them taking their lives. And I don't know, when I was growing up, it was never something that we talked about or that we saw happen in our community about people taking their own lives. It was so rare that it was not something that was discussed. So for somebody like me, even as a mental health professional, growing up, I never saw things like that. And culture has a way of discounting some of these feelings, especially when it comes to emotions. And that's why it plays that part in it in terms of our values and the things that we are aware of or the things that we're attuned to. Something that you're not aware of, that you don't have insight or knowledge about, you tend to not consider them. So, and then thinking about different cultures have a way that they perceive suicide, so, and it's something that I know that in our culture, even if somebody committed suicide, they're going to look for ways to kind of cover it up and not say that person took their own lives, because of the stigma that is associated with that family's something like this happened in that family. So yeah, when it comes to mental health generally, whether it's suicide or anything, our culture have significant way of impacting it. I think we talked briefly about that the last time, where we talked about the ways that culture impact mental health. We talk about the cultural stigma, the understanding of the symptoms, the community support, and the resources that are available within that culture. So, yeah, it does impact our beliefs and our.
Okay. After I ask my question, I will turn on my volume so I can hear you. So someone came into my office, walked in my office and said, "Hey, I am a Christian. I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, but I want to kill myself. I just want to know if I'll go to heaven after killing myself," like that. And I had no answer. So I'm tempted to ask you to see what you will give as an answer to this.
Well, for me, if somebody comes to me and tells me they want to kill themselves, I'm going to ask them the next question if they have a plan. I'm going to ask them if they have a plan. And if they have a plan, before I do anything, maybe because I'm a professional, before I do anything, I'm going to, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so the first thing is, if somebody tells you I'm a Christian, I want to kill myself, I'll ask them if they have a plan, that they've already made a plan of what they're going to do or how they're going to do it. And if they say yes, I'll ask them if they actually have intent to carry that plan out. And if they say yes, I will be calling 911. I will first of all encourage them and take them to the nearest ER. If they don't want to go, you will be calling 911. You will save one life by doing that, because once they get into the hospital, they will keep them safe for that one and they can process every other thing. What happens after death? No, we all have to go and face God and see God. Everybody will tell you you're going to go to hell and this. You know what? The Bible is not, there's nothing specific about the Bible when it comes to suicide. Yes, we cannot imply every other scripture, but for me, I do not pass judgment. I leave that judgment to God. You know, it says the Bible says don't kill, but if you kill yourself, judgment is still in the hands of God. It's not in the hands of man. So I can't say that person is definitely going to go to hell or going to go to heaven. I don't know. I have not, and that's the truth, you know. But the key is that let's prevent that and let's provide them with support. Find out what is going on in their life that could bring them to that extreme. You know, maybe it's something that we can, as a community, you know, rally around him and help him out. Maybe he's homeless. Maybe he's lost everything. Maybe his wife left. Maybe, you know, you never can tell. Let's find out what is going on in their lives that brought them to that place of hopelessness and see if there's a way that we can provide support. But the first thing is get them to the hospital, get them safe.
Thank you.
Don't let them go home. Don't let them go back home if they say that to you. Okay, so I see a question here. Does gender matter when it comes to suicide behavior? Yes, every gender kind of responds to suicide. You know, you often find the male people are more lethal. You can find, you know, I don't have the statistics here because I didn't prepare for that, but the key is that we know that when men commit suicide, it's more lethal. They're more you find out that they do more extreme things like using firearms and things like that to commit suicide. Female, you know, don't let me say this because I don't remember right offhand right now, but I know that the difference between that is that when men do commit suicide, theirs is more lethal. And I can get you more information about that because I don't have the statistics in my head right offhand to say. Yeah, you know, the things that tend to push the female gender more to suicide is way different from what pushes men. A lot of what pushes men has to do with their own ego and their identity and all of that. But with women, it has to do with more emotional issues and things. So yeah, there's a difference between that. But when you think about it, any underlying mental health issues push either gender to the extreme.
That's very true. Very good. Very good.
Okay. Any other question? I think I've answered the ones that I see on the chat. I think, you know, what we all need to really be mindful of is those protective factors that I talked about. One, strong family support and relationships, religious engagement and religious and spiritual engagement, you know, community and social support, you know, and then building healthy family, healthy self-esteem, helping our children develop healthy self-esteem, you know, emotional well-being. All of those things, you know, are protective factors. Stable family environment, you know, housing, employment, you know, things like that. Stable family environment is very important for our children. And of course, being attuned to their feelings as well and their emotions. And, you know, putting a sense of connectedness and the fact that they matter. Acknowledge, you know, people like being acknowledged by others. Having a sense that others are concerned about you is very important, and it can be a protective factor. And letting our kids know that because they are brown or black does not make them less than, you know, help them feel comfortable in their skin. I always tell this story when I was in graduate school, and my advisor at that point in time asked me, he said, "Joko, how do you feel being a minority on this campus?" And I'm like, oh, unfortunately, you are asking the wrong person, because I'm the one person that I was raised with so much confidence that I'm so comfortable in my skin. I looked him straight in the eye and I said, You know, the first thought that came across my head was, one, I'm paying the same amount of money that everybody pays for their credit unit in this. You know, and then you're asking me to be feeling inferior when I'm not doing this. This is not cheap. I'm paying for this thing, and I'm paying the same price, the same cost that everybody pays. And you're asking me if I feel how I feel being a minority. So how am I supposed to feel? So I looked him straight in there and I said, you know what? I may be different, but difference is not wrong. I says, I am okay with being myself. I'm comfortable in my skin. I don't feel anything. The guy turned red because I don't know what they expect me to say. I said, I feel comfortable in my skin. And I may be different, but different is not wrong. I can't be you and you can't be me. And I'm comfortable being me. Oh boy, the guy turned red. He began to stammer. So I didn't mean, I just mean, I don't care what you mean. I'm not here for free. I'm paying so much money to be here. Don't ask me if I'm feeling anything. I'm not feeling nothing. And this is the key when we raise our kids, honestly, with healthy self-esteem. My father raised me so much. When we were growing up in Nigeria, there were very few women who held, positions of authority. But my father's first 3 kids were girls, were all girls. So anytime my father saw a woman do anything, laudable, is going to tell us, see, that's a woman, you can be that. That's a woman, you can do that. That's a woman, you can do that. So I grew up with a can-do spirit. So when I came over here, you can't put me down. I don't care what you say. You cannot put me down. But we have to help our kids develop that kind of healthy self-esteem, that they are confident and comfortable. I may not be able to talk like you. It doesn't matter. Look, I give presentations in class when I was in graduate school, and they turn their faces and their noses. And I just said straight to them. I said, look, I strain my ears to hear what you guys have to say. And so if you listen, I'm not speaking German and I'm not speaking German, you will hear what I have to say too. Honestly, I said that to them. I don't have time for all those stuff. I strain my ears to hear their own language too. It's true. You too, listen. If you listen, I'm speaking English, you will understand. Even in my work as a professional, I've only had adults tell me they don't understand what I'm saying. Kids are open-minded. They will receive you. They will accept you. Sometimes some people pick the phone and say, I don't understand you. Can I talk to somebody else? I'm sorry. You can talk to somebody else. That's your problem. You need me more than I need you. That's the bottom line. You need me more than I need you. You are the one in distress. You are the one that needs me. So, but it comes with developing a healthy self-esteem. I'm a compassionate person. I'm in this profession because I want to help. But you know what? At the same time, I don't let people put me down because of my color, because of my accent. You can't put me down. I pay way too much money to get trained for you to put me down. But we need to get our kids to that place where they have healthy self-esteem, where they're not feeling less than because of who they are or because of what they are even lucky. They speak, their tongue is as twisted as the people here. Our own is not so twisted. But still, you have to have healthy self-esteem. You have to be confident in yourself and confident in your God. So we really have to raise our kids to be comfortable in their skin. These are some of the ways to prevent all of these mental health issues. Depression because I'm Black and they said I did this. Yeah, we don't discard it, but we help them know that you are a child of God. First of all, you are a child of God. First of all, you are accepted in the beloved. God accepts you the way you are. God created you the way you are because he had a purpose for you that only you can fulfill. Those are the things that we need to begin to drum into our kids' head, that the things that you can do, they cannot do. The things that they can do, you may not be able to do. Accept that. Everyone is different, but you're okay. Nothing is wrong with you because you have this skin color. All right. Any other questions? Sister Angels, I'm going to turn it over to you.
We have some more questions in the chat.
Oh, sorry, you should have stopped me. I didn't have the chat open. Let's see. Let's see. Is it true that some personality traits are more prone to suicidality? People with personality disorders, they have personality disorders because, oh boy. I'm trying to answer that question in a way that, let me talk about one particular personality disorder. It's called borderline personality disorder. And when you think about borderline is a borderline between psychosis and neurosis. And so when you think of people like that, they have very manipulative behaviors. And sometimes in their manipulative way, sometimes they tend to up the ante when they're not getting that kind of attention that they think they want or they want to get. And so sometimes some of them will have suicidal behaviors or there's what we call suicidal gestures. People who will just do things like they can cut their arm, we also call it self-harm behaviors. They'll do things like that. But you see, people like that sometimes, because of their impulsivity and because of the way they are, may end up harming themselves that can lead to death. Because some people with personality disorders have impulsive behaviors, and when they're impulsive, they're not thinking right. So they may act impulsively. Yeah, maybe I'll say they have the tendency to act impulsively, which may lead to death or, like that way. So, because suicide means you intend to. They don't intend to, but because of their impulsivity, it may end up in death. So I don't know if I answered that question properly, because there's so many personality disorders, and not all personality disorders but there are certain personality disorders that are prone to, like the one that I just mentioned, borderline personality disorder. Let's see, any other, sorry. Let me check, sorry, any other question in the chat? Oh, yeah, there's some personality disorders that are prone to, suicidal behavior, yeah. Yes. Any other question?
There's another question in the chat.
Oh, I didn't see that one. No. It's not. Oh, okay. No, the last one I saw is the one about personality disorder, personality traits, and
the one before it.
Oh, let's see. I've answered that one. How should one respond to someone who believes that taking their lives will relieve their family? I've talked about that one. That you just kind of surround them with love and reassure them of your love for them, and provide the right support for them. People who do that are people who are in chronic pain or who have terminal illness. Are the ones that are prone to think like that and to say things like that because they don't want to be a burden on their family. Yes, they are prone to, because of what they're going through. But we just have to keep surrounding them with love and letting them know that they're not a burden on us, that for every day they're with us, we thank God for that opportunity, for that they're still here. So we can still provide hope in the midst of what they call hopelessness. And who knows, God, that can really impact them too. Yeah.
Any other question? Any comment from Dr. Ni?
He's been throwing all the questions in the chat for me, the tough ones. Dr. Nispiko, please.
Okay, we'll be sharing Pastor Joko's number if you want to contact her. Or Pastor Joko, please, could you share your number on the chat?
Okay. I don't know. Okay, let me see. Chat. Okay, let's see. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. And we hope we can call on you some other time in the future. because this
We'll
will
have...
be an ongoing conversation in our community. We really need to talk
Good
about
evening,
it.
Dr. Oni. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right.
I'm doing okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We need to hear from Dr. Oni.
Yes, comment.
She answered my question of the culture and all those things. So
we have another professional here, Dr. Tolu.
We spoke.
Hola.
You have all these professionals here. You are letting them throw all the hard questions to me. You should have let us share the those questions with them too. I see Dr. Oni hiding. I should have answered Dr. Oni's question. I should have asked him to answer the question for us too.
Yeah, you should give Dr. Oni some questions to answer since she did some to you.
you did so well. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
We
you
really
very much.
appreciate you.
We thank God.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We thank everyone for being part of this conversation.
Thank you. I didn't see the telephone number in the chat box. So
I did put it. I put it. Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Maybe you have to scroll down.
Do others see it?
Yeah, it's there. You have to scroll, maybe scroll to the end. It's there.
We have some food for those online. So I interested in eating.
Right.
We have some food.
There is food online.
Good food.
Lots of delicious food here.
Delicious.
All right. Oh, anyway, thank you, Sister Ngozi. God bless you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. We
Thank
appreciate
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There is food online.
God of the day is the God in the night. God of the mountains is the God in the valley. When things go wrong, He will make them right. And the God of the good times is the God in the bad times. God of the day, oh, is the God in the Hallelujah.
Welcome everyone. Thank you for spending the evening with us. We really appreciate you. The time has come.